All right. So today we are going to have a blog from Hacker News. It's about a new internet, if I'm not wrong, Tailscale.com. And it has 78 comments. You're gonna go through the comments as well after, but let's go through the blog itself. Let's just have this for now. Just delete that accessing deleted. Alright, the new internet by every Penaron. So this is 60 minutes. I have no idea what Tailscale does, but it seems to be a networking company. Well, let's have a look before we do that. So, best VPN service for secure networks. Okay. Trusted by 5,000 plus companies. Tailscale makes secure networking easy. Deploy zero config, no fuss VPN. Alright. Seems to be a big thing for Tailscale. Unlike site-to-site networking. Alright, I guess we kind of get what they are about. So let's have a look at Avery itself. Okay. Michael Vizard, University of Waterloo. Alright, so basically an engineer, a hardcore one. That's pretty good. Alright, straight to the blog itself. Avery Penaran is the CEO and co-founder of Tailscale. A version of this post was originally presented at a company All Hands. We don't talk a lot in public about the big vision for Tailscale, why we are really here. Usually I prefer to focus on what exists right now and what we are going to do in the next few months. The future can be distracting, but increasingly I found companies are starting to buy Tailscale not just for what it does, but for the big things they expect it will do in the future. Alright, let's look at the biggest of big pictures for change. But first, let's go back to where we started. Okay. Seems good from here. Okay, old. David Crushaw's first post that laid out what we were doing long ago in the late 20 teens was called Remembering the LAN. About this experience doing networking back in the 1990s. I have bad news. If you remember doing LANs back in the 1990s, you're probably old. Quite a few of us here at Tailscale remember doing LANs in the 1990s. That's an age gap compared to a lot of other startups. That age gap makes Tailscale unusual. So these guys are old, but they have experience. Anything unusual about a startup can be an advantage or disadvantage depending what you do with it. Anything unusual? Alright, so they have a niche. Mature. Here's another word for old, but with different connotations. I'm a person that likes looking on the bright side. There are disadvantages to being old. Like, I maybe cannot do a 4-hour coding binge like I used to do. When I wrote my first VPN called Tunnel Vision in 1997, but there are advantages like maybe we have enough experience to do things right the first time in fewer hours. Sometimes if you're lucky. Makes sense. Design decisions are really important. I agree with that. I'm not that old. I'm only my 20s. But sometimes if you just know the bigger picture and then you kind of just know where to put the puzzle pieces instead of just trying to find the next puzzle to one puzzle piece, if that makes sense. And maybe, you know, if you're old enough, you've seen the tech cycle go around a few times and you're starting to see a few patterns. That was us, me and the Davids, when we started Tailscale. What we saw was a lot of things have gotten better since the 1990s. Computers are literally millions of times faster. 10x as many people can be programmers now because they aren't stuck with just C++ and assembly language. And many more people now have some kind of computer plus app stores, payment system, graphics, all good stuff. But also things have gotten worse. A lot of day-to-day things that used to be easy for developers are now hard. That was unexpected. I didn't expect that. I expected I'd be out of job by now because programming would be so easy. Instead, the tech industry has evolved into an absolute mess, and it's getting worse instead of better. Our tower of complexity is now so tall that we're seriously considering slathering elements on top to write the incomprehensible code in the incomprehensible framework so we don't have to. Alright? And you know, we old people are the ones who have the context to see that. It's all fixable, it doesn't have to be this way. Before I can tell you a vision for the future, I have to tell you what I think I went wrong. Alright. Oh, not scaling. So that's interesting. It's kind of very pragmatic, I guess it's gonna be. Programmers today are impatient for success. They start planning for a billion users before they write their first line of code. That's literally me. In fact, nowadays we train them to do this without even knowing they're doing it. Everything they've ever been taught revolves around scaling. We've been falling into this trap all the way back to when computer scientists started teaching big O notation. In big O notation, if you use it wrong, a hash table is supposedly faster than an array for virtually anything you want to do. Virtually. So, I don't like this word. Virtual means it's like, just trust me, bro. It works. But don't trust that, bro. Yeah. But in reality, that's not always true. When you have billion entries, maybe a hash table is faster. But you have 10 entries. When you have 10 entries, it almost never is. Yeah, just use an array. Come on. You don't need to call a hash function or have a hash set or something like that. People have a hard time with this idea. I mean, I need to tell this to myself first because I designed a chat app, and basically I was thinking this is gonna be the next Facebook or Instagram, and everything was to be scaled, but yeah, just too impatient for success, I guess. People have a hard time with this idea. They keep picking the algorithms and architectures that can scale up, even if you don't scale up. It's a big thing. A different thing would be thousands of times faster and also easier to build and run. Even I can barely believe I just said thousands of times easier, and I wasn't exaggerating. He's right. He's absolutely right. I read a post recently where someone bragged about using Kubernetes to scale all the way up to 5,000 page views per month, but that's 0.2 requests per second. I don't like this. What does this mean? So basically, just divide second by 2 times 10. What does this mean? So 1 request per 5 seconds? I don't know why my brain just locked for a second, but anyways, it's not even milliseconds. I don't know. Anyways, but this is just an example, so let's not take it that serious. I could serve that from my phone on battery power and it will spend most of its time asleep. Facts. So true. If you're writing a passion project, You just wanna make it work. Please, just I'm talking to myself and maybe 5 other people who are watching this. Please just write it in Node. There's React Native. You don't have to think about scaling it with like the best like frameworks and whatever. Please just write it in JavaScript. In modern computing, we tolerate long builds and then Docker builds and uploading to container stores and multi-minute deploy times before the program runs, and even longer times before the log output gets uploaded to somewhere you can see it, all because we've been tricked into this idea that everything has to scale. Let me just make this bigger. People get excited about deploying to the latest upstart container hosting service because it only takes tens of seconds to roll instead of minutes. But on my slow computer in the 1990s, I could run a Perl or Python program that started in milliseconds and served way more than that. Facts. I'm printing logs to steady error ERR right away so I could edit, run, debug over and over again. Yeah, so I believe in engineering they call this iterative design. There's so many different ways to have a design for something, but you need to jump in at some point. You just have to do it, just have to make come on, make a product and make a product that's not the finished product. Oh my god. All right, prototype. Yeah, make a prototype and then see if anyone wants the prototype, even yourself. We got here because sometimes someone really does need to write a program that has to scale to thousands or millions of backends, so it needs all that stuff, and wishful thinking makes people imagine even the lowliest dashboard could be that popular one day. Oh god. The truth is most things don't scale, never need to. If we made Tailscale for those things, so you can spend your time scaling the things that really need it, the long tail of jobs that are 90% of what every developer spends their time on. Even developers at companies that make stuff that scales to billions of users spend most of their time on stuff that doesn't, like dashboards and meme generators. As an industry, we spend all our time making the hard things possible and none of our time making the easy things easy. Interesting. I really like this. I don't know, it's a link. It goes somewhere. Let's not branch out right now. Programmers are all stuck in the mud. Just listen to any professional developer and ask what percentage of their time is spent actually solving the problem they set out to work on and how much is spent on junky overhead. It's true here. Our developer experience at Tailscale is better than average, but even when we have largely the same experience, modern software development is mostly junky overhead. Just frameworks on frameworks on frameworks. The internet, in fact, we didn't found Tailscale to be a networking company. Networking didn't come into it much at all at first. Okay, so they didn't have VPNs at first. I guess that's their main product. What really happened was me and the Davids got together and we said, look, the problem is developers keep scaling things they don't need to scale and their lives suck as a result. For most programmers you can imagine, the wiping your tears with a handful of dollar bills. Oh my god, we need to fix that, but how? We looked at a lot of options and talked to a lot of people, and there was an underlying cause for all the problems. The internet. Things used to be simple. Let's just double check this. Yeah. Things used to be simple. Sorry about that. Then there was another. The internet. Things used to be simple. Remember the LAN? But then we connect our LANs to the internet, and there's been more and more firewalls and attackers everywhere, and things have slowly been degrading ever since. When we explore the world of our complexity, most of it has what we might call no essential complexity. Okay. This is great. That is, the problems can be solved without complexity, but for some reason the solutions we use are complicated anyway. For example, logging systems. They just stream text from one place to another, but somehow it takes 5 minutes to show up. Or orchestration systems. There are programs whose only job is to run other programs, which Unix kernels have done just fine, within milliseconds, for decades. People laying on piles of goop, but the goop can be removed, except networking. Hello.